Today I want to talk about an idea I had. I'm calling it a World Building Coalition, or WBC for short. The basic idea is that world building can be hugely time consuming, so what if we formed a partnership with others to work on the same setting? Some of you have likely done this already, and if so, I'd love to hear how it went in the comments or an email to me. The idea I'm presenting is just that, an idea, so it's food for thought and certainly might need adjusting once implemented. A partnership would allow us to divide up the work and maybe focus on areas we excel at while leaving our weak areas for someone else. If everyone is an author, everyone can write in the setting. We'll have to be very aware of what everyone else is creating, and they might want to do some things that we don't want. One solution is to divide up continents, each of us taking certain kingdoms. One advantage here is that the gods or species can be the same across the world, but we can do different things on a smaller scale. But be careful with this. More than one relationship has been destroyed by disputes over ownership. So if you do something like this, maybe consult an attorney and draw up a legal document specifying your respective rights. So what is it? A world-building coalition is a collection of individuals who agree to build a world together, sharing the work and results. While some things like overall world feel, gods, and many life forms will be shared, other items like kingdoms will belong to world-building owners, or WBOs, who have ownership of them. Members should make an agreement or covenant that lays out their rights, roles, and responsibilities, and other things to agree on, like terminology. For example, are you going to call elves a race or a species? You should decide what happens when someone leaves the coalition and whether they retain their rights or have them transferred to someone else, or whether they can get them back. One question to answer at the start and stick to is genre. Is the world intended for fantasy, science fiction, steampunk, or something else? Another decision is technological level. Does the world have guns, or cars, or spaceships? How technologically advanced is the planet? Some areas can be more advanced than others, such as the Europeans being more advanced than Native Americans when Europeans discovered North America, but generally you'll want some guidelines. Let's talk about some potential roles in the coalition. The goal of these is to establish who has authority over what. Not deciding that kind of thing ahead of time leads to problems, so let's avoid that. A WorldMaster is the overriding authority for a planet or a group of them in a solar system, for example. This can also be called a universe master. This person would have tie-breaking authority during any voting. Responsibilities would include moderating disputes, laying out rules, and general administration of everything in the coalition except what has been delegated to others. This person is basically the boss. In many instances, the WorldMaster will be the one who created the coalition, though if the original WorldMaster steps down, another member of the coalition may take his or her place. Then there's the WorldMaster backup. In the event that the WorldMaster is unavailable, like when they're on vacation, a backup who has the same level of access should take over. The coalition will need to determine how much authority this person has, but generally the backup is responsible for ensuring the forward progress of the coalition in the temporary absence of the WorldMaster. Another role which everyone in the coalition would have is the World Building Owner, or WBO. Each would have voting rights, presumably equally. Each would sign the covenant and pay any share of costs if there are any dues for legal fees or hosting of shared files. Then there's the Continent Master. While sharing is the point of a coalition, it makes sense for each member to have their own continent, with them as its Continent Master. They are the owner of that continent, responsible for its name and everything on it, from land features to settlements and inhabitants. This allows each member relative freedom to do as they please on their landmass while using shared resources of the world, such as species, races, plants, animals, and gods. A continent master may carve out a period of their continent's time that belongs exclusively to themselves, while allowing other members of the coalition to use or influence the events of their continent with their approval. This might include others using or inventing history, characters, and items that originate or impact the Continent Master's property. As the Continent Master is the owner, he would have final approval over whether such alterations are allowed. It's probably smart to run those changes past him for approval before significant development work by another member. Once approved in writing, it should not be rolled back. The Continent Master becomes bound by the invention just as if imagined personally. The Continent Master also then acquires ownership and responsibility of the item. Then there's the Regent. A Regent is someone who is temporarily handling another world-building owner's responsibilities. This optional role must be agreed upon by others in the coalition. Any decisions made by a regent must be honored by others as if the original property owner had made them. So these are some basic roles. It's only a few, so it's not too complicated. When it comes to the creations, everyone must decide what items will be shared and what will belong to a world-building owner. As suggested by the Continent Master role, it is wise to let each member of the coalition own a continent. However, other divisions can be made, such as Sovereign Power Master or Settlement Master, Forest Master, even a Species Master, Plant Master, and Animal Master. What these have in common is that someone has responsibility and authority for an item and cannot be overridden by other members of the coalition unless they are failing in their duties. By contrast, there are shared issues that the entire coalition must decide upon, such as by majority vote. These are often planetary-wide concerns. Some shared items could include the number and placement of continents, the name of world oceans and bodies of water adjacent to multiple continents, the numbers of gods and basic disposition, like if they're good or evil, and if the gods are real or worldwide, what species exist or races, especially if they are worldwide, and the number and features of moons and other heavenly bodies such as rings, other solar system planets, and the sun type. World building can't go on forever, and some members will inevitably leave. When this happens, ownership of their creations may and probably should fall to others. Otherwise, those who want to use or suggest changes to the person's possessions can't get any resolution. So here are some suggested options, which should be included in the covenant if you decide they're a good idea. Option 1. Perpetuity. In this option, a world-building owner never loses their rights. No one can alter what they've decided and written in world-building files. Option 2. Transferred. In this case, a world-building owner can transfer the rights to another owner, whether that person is an existing member of the coalition or a new replacement one brought in for this purpose. This transfer should be approved by the coalition. After all, it's possible the new person isn't a good fit. Option 3. Suspended. A world-building owner might be unable to participate for a long time, maybe due to illness, loss of interest, or just needing a break. This could result in an inability to meet requirements, such as voting or dealing with another world-building owner's requests to make changes to the world-building owner's creations. They might intend to return and want to not lose stake in the coalition, so they would suspend their participation, but since this may negatively impact the coalition as a whole, they may agree that another person, like the WorldMaster, will take over responsibilities as a regent. Given the possibility of monthly expenses for shared hosting of files, for example, a world-building owner might still be required to pay their share or risk expulsion. Option 4. Abandonment. In the event that a world-building owner abandons their stake in the coalition, ownership can be assigned or taken by someone else with the agreement by the remaining members of the coalition. The definition of abandonment is important and may include a time frame upon which members are expected to reply to coalition business, and a failure to do so results in a declaration of abandonment. A 3-month window might be plausible. A formal decision by the coalition should follow several written notices to the world-building owner in question with adequate time for them to reply. Option 5. Quitting. A world-building owner can simply quit, permanently forfeiting all rights to their possessions, including using them in any way, such as in stories. To do this, the world-building owner would submit in writing their resignation, which becomes final upon acceptance by the coalition. That said, the world-building owner can ask to come back at a later time at the discretion of the coalition. In the meantime, another member of the coalition would take over the world-building owner's territory, but must abide by many previous decisions for that territory. Option number 6. Terminated. To protect the coalition's investment of time, energy, and the integrity of the shared world, a world-building owner's participation in the coalition may be terminated due to violation of the covenant. Termination should be majority, not unanimous. The terms under which termination may occur should be stated in the covenant. Option 7. Expirations. A world-building coalition might decide in its covenant that membership in the coalition is automatically renewed annually, provided that each world-building owner reaffirms their continued interest in remaining. This means someone's membership can expire. Option number 8. Death. The death or permanent incapacitation of a world-building owner automatically transfers all of their rights to the coalition until such time as the coalition formally votes to assign rights to another owner. Until such time, maybe any changes to the owner's property requires a simple majority vote of eligible coalition members. Option number 9. Disbanding. All good things must come to an end, and that can include the coalition, which should prepare for this and determine what happens. It seems obvious that future world building will not occur, but what about usage of the coalition's properties? This can be permitted for use in stories, for example, provided alteration of the world no longer occurs, unless that alteration is only to territory or items controlled by the former world-building owner of it. If shared files are online and require payment for access, this can be achieved via downloading to each former World-Building Coalition member's personal computers. However, if using sites that do not provide for downloading, continued access could become a problem. Consider the platform that is intended for this at the outset. That brings us to coordination. The coalition might find it helpful to keep a running list of decisions that have been made so that everyone stays aware. This will be especially useful if a new world-building owner joins. Maintaining this list would be the WorldMaster's responsibility. When it comes to meetings, the coalition should attempt to meet periodically, such as once a month, to discuss group concerns and make decisions. This meeting can be in person or online, and possible agenda items might include a list of members in attendance, any official business such as legal, voting, or membership changes, updates of shared coalition items and progress, problems, and resolutions, intended work to be done by the next meeting, incoming requests, such as those by authors wishing to write stories there, membership and other dues or changes to them, and any open discussions. The coalition will need to share files. This includes documents that everyone can work on and ones specific to a world-building owner who has rights to alter it but which others can only read, so they can make use of the world-building owner's work. Google Drive is free and provides both word processor and spreadsheet files, and various websites exist for this too. Programs that allow tracking of another's suggested changes may be useful. So I hope this gives you some ideas for how you might partner with other world builders to share the work and glory of a jointly built world. I haven't done this myself and consider this a kind of thought experiment, so I won't be offended if you disagree. And I'd love to hear insights of your own, especially if you've attempted something like this. Please leave me a comment, click the like button even if you disagree, and if I gave you some ideas, and maybe subscribe to see more of my world building videos. Thanks for watching.